أخاف على بلدي.
I stand before you as a citizen, worried for my country and homeland, and my nation, and for Egypt, dear Egypt, that God forbid if harm was befallen on it. It will impact the entire Arab and Muslim world and the world in general.
You don't often see a terrorist beg. That's Mohamed Morsi, the president of Egypt. He's part of the Muslim Brotherhood terrorist group. He was installed in the elections, about a year or so ago, and now he's in some wobbly trouble. Joining us now from New York City to talk about the trouble he's in is the national security analyst for the Clarion Project, Ryan Moore. Nice to see you again, Ryan. What do you make of President Morsi's televised pitch? It's a very democratic, Western-style thing to do, to go on TV to try and beg the population for forgiveness. Dictators don't normally do that. Is that a sign that Morsi thinks that maybe he might be overthrown like Hosni Mubarak was before him?
He's certainly scared about it. He gave a 2.5-hour speech, which just shows how panicked he is. The Egyptian military is saying that they're worried about there being a civil war and they'll step in if that's the case. But as for whether this is unique for a dictator to do, it actually isn't. The Muslim Brotherhood has operated in the West for a long time. Getting in front of the cameras, dressing in Western attire is something that they're very comfortable in doing. Mohamed Morsi was actually educated in California.
That's a good point, good reminder. So he has some of the trappings of Western democracies, even if his mission is very medieval and dictatorial. Let me ask you this. You say there is a genuine worry of a civil war, but isn't it the fact that really of all the different groups and parties out there, the Muslim Brotherhood is the toughest? If these were Chicago street gangs, the other guys would be bringing knives, but he's got the gun. Like, these seriously are the toughest, most brutal, most violent parties out there. Is he really worried that maybe liberals might take up guns and try and topple him?
No, I don't think so. This is going to be a pretext in order for him to crack down. This is what dictators, not just the Muslim Brotherhood, do. They accuse their opponents of wanting to engage in violence. He's already saying that they are threatening the revolution and democracy. And that's all just a pretext in order to say, for the sake of national security, we need to crush the opposition. And the more hardline Islamists, the Salafists, actually already have formed independent militias that will go out and attack these protesters, saying that they're enforcing the law. And they've already talked about doing that.
Let me ask you, in the past we've heard that the Egyptian military is sort of a political force of its own, and whatever dictator may have sat in the presidential palace, well, the military truly had the power. And of course Mubarak was from the military himself, unlike Morsi. Has Morsi Muslim Brotherhoodified the military? Has he replaced the top generals with those sympathetic to him? Are they an independent force? Would they enforce a crackdown on Morsi's behalf? Or do you think they might grow impatient with Morsi and replace him themselves?
No, he was able to cut off the head of the military and replace it with Muslim Brotherhood loyalists, which was really frightening to see because so many analysts, including myself, said, well, at least the military is viewed as an independent political force that can counter the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood. He just walked in there, fired the top generals, and replaced them with guys loyal to the radical Islamic agenda. So the military is no longer a neutral force.
Well, let me ask you then, I mean, you're in the most important foreign policy power in the world, the United States. Your government most recently approved billions of dollars for Egypt, both civilian and military. Why on earth would the United States pour money into the pockets of a terrorist party running a government that's increasingly brutal to its own people, let alone threatening other countries?
There's two reasons. The first is that it is viewed that any instability in Egypt will have a ripple effect, and it's better to have stability than no stability. The second reason for this type of aid is the belief that the Muslim Brotherhood is moderate. Yes, we disagree with them on some things, but they're a party that we can work with because they're not al-Qaeda. And so there's actually a U.S. strategy right now viewing the Muslim Brotherhood as the moderate counter to al-Qaeda, that they will be the non-violent alternative for people that want to express their displeasure with the United States. But as for the aid, I mean, the latest poll shows that the majority of Egyptians don't want American aid, which I think is great because the majority of Americans don't want to give any aid. So I think that there's no basis for this aid anymore.
Yeah, you're right. You know, his first foreign policy speech of any significance back in 2009, Barack Obama went to Cairo. It was his important reset with the Muslim world. I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to call it an abject failure. I guess my question is, has Obama changed his strategy, or is he still going out there on the world apology tour? I'm sorry America was mean to you. We will be more malleable to you. I mean, has Obama changed, or is it just that the Muslim world is now laughing at him and he still doesn't get it?
No, the Obama administration is still operating from the idea that extremism and terrorism and anti-Americanism all flows from somewhat legitimate gripes over American foreign policy, U.S. support for Israel, U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia, things like that. It's the wrong view, because what's actually causing those grievances is a radical Islamic worldview. If you want to resurrect the caliphate and destroy Israel, of course you're going to be enraged when there's U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia. And as for the apology tour, it has absolutely failed. When President Obama first came into office, the approval rating of the United States and Egypt increased to about 27%, not much. It has now fallen to 16%. Because the Muslim Brotherhood type folks that we're reaching out to still hate us. We weren't able to convince them any different. But the secular moderate elements of Egypt and throughout the Muslim world feel alienated, and they say, why is the United States reaching out to the Muslim Brotherhood and not us?
Yeah, good point. Ryan, thanks for joining us. Wise words, appreciate it.